I'm Lilith, I'm a product manager and no-code builder, and today we're gonna build a KPI bot. So what is a KPI bot for and who's gonna use it? So a KPI bot is pretty cool for every team, project or product where you track KPIs. It gives you quite a good overview about your stats and helps you to stay on track and tells you how you're performing. And also it gives other teams the chance to understand the KPIs of your product or your team and gives you the chance to react immediately when you're underperforming, like on a daily basis or even on a weekly basis. It also gives you the chance to set your actions in context. By example, if you have a marketing KPI stats bot, then you can directly check, and also the other teams can directly see if some new campaign or a new post or something like that had an impact on your KPIs. So it's pretty good to have that basically for every team, product or project you're working on. All right, so the tech stack for today is Zapier for the automation part, Google Sheet as the data management tool where you get your data from, and Slack as the communication part where the bot is actually sending its messages to. All right, let's start building. Other than in the other videos before, we're not starting with Zapier, but we're starting with Google Sheets. And what you need for a KPI bot is an account sheet or a KPI sheet where you get your data from. So I prepared one already. In this example, I thought of an imaginary webinar you want to host, and we want to track the signups and the registrations for this webinar. So here I have a tab with all the signups. These are all fake emails, by the way. And here, every time a new signup is coming in, it's going to be pushed in this sheet from another Zap. We're not dealing with that one today, but you can imagine that every time someone signs up via the ticketing tool, whatever you want to use, it's going to land in here with the columns date, email, first name, last name, and company. Same goes for the registrations. Basically the same setup with date, email, first name, last name, and the company. All right. So in order to make it a bot and to track your stats, I prepared this sheet here, which is the KPI bot worksheet. I made a little table here with a variable, which always gives me the current, yesterday, today, and the difference between yesterday and today. I have the signups here, registration, and if you want to track your budget or other costs that you have, you can also add that in here. So what I basically did is the current formula, or the current cell is a formula or contains a formula. It counts all the signups in the sign up tab. Same goes for registrations, and the budget spend, I don't have a tab in there here, but would also be a formula. So yesterday and today are no formulas, but this is going to be data that is going to be pushed by Zapier. And the difference is, again, the difference between today and yesterday. So today minus yesterday to get the difference, how many more signups you got or registrations or budget spent during the last 24 hours. I also made that in the graph here. Don't want to get too much in detail into it, but I'm going to quickly show you how I did that. I chose a combo chart and set my goal as a line for registrations and for signups, and the actual signups as a stacking. Not really sure if that's the right word in English, but anyway. Okay. So here I can clearly see that at the start of my campaign, I was overperforming, but right now I am underperforming a bit, and I need to do something about it. We're gonna get later to this. This is linked to the KPI history, but I'm gonna show you along the way when we build our Zap. All right, so that's it for the KPI board. where you get your data from. Let's go into Zapier. All right, it is familiar. We have our folder and all our zaps, and I want to create a new zap. All right, first I want to name it KPI bot webinar. All right, and my trigger this time is a scheduler. I want to have the bot sending its message every day on a certain time, at a certain time. You can also choose every week or every month. For the KPI bot right now, I would say every day. I don't want it to trigger on the weekend. This is a really nice feature, especially for work days. Time of the day, I want to have 6 p.m. That's when I normally stop working. Save and continue. Test the trigger. And there we got our day from today. All right, let's continue. So the first thing I want to do is to look up what I have currently. I choose the app Google Sheets and choose the event lookup spreadsheet row. Gonna choose an account. It's little builds in this one. And I'm gonna choose a spreadsheet. It's a KPI board. You usually don't have to choose a drive because it finds that way by itself. But you can also put the data in here. Of course, I'm going to skip it right now because we don't really need it. All right, so my worksheet is the KPI bot. And the lookup column is the first one, which is variable. And the lookup value is current. All right, I don't need these ones. Save and continue. Test and review. And here I got my data from the current row. All right, next thing I want to do, I want to rename that quickly because later I won't find it again if I leave it like that. Look up current. All right. Next thing I want to do is I want to look up the row today. So current and today are not the same thing. So current is the actual number of signups we have right now. And today is the number of signups we had yesterday at the point where the KPI bot triggered. So this can be more than this one. Always keep that in mind. Back to our Zap and look up spreadsheet row. Again, choose an account. It's kind of annoying to set it up for the first time, the KPI bot, but once you have it set up once, you can always just copy it and exchange the boards or the worksheets. So it gets easier. All right. So we wanna look up today. Gonna rename that quickly. Look up today. Test and review. And there we go. We have our today. All right. So I look these two rows up. And now I want to actually update today, update yesterday with today, because the data I have right now in today is actually the data from yesterday, the time when the bot triggered. So I'm going to choose again Google Sheets. And I want to update a spreadsheet row. Again, the account. The spreadsheet should be the KPI board. Worksheet should be the KPI bot again. And the row, let's quickly look what yesterday for a row is. It's 4. I want to update row 4. All right, we don't want to update the variable. We want to update the signups with today. Here we have the signups. Then we have the registrations. And then we have the budget spent. All right. Gonna rename that quickly. Update yesterday with today. Test and review. And there we go. All right. Next thing I want to do is to update today with current. Update spreadsheet row. Spreadsheet should be again the KPI board. Then worksheet should be the KPI bot. And the row should be update today should be 5. All right. Row 5. And I want to update today with current, so I'm going to choose the current one. Here we have to show all options because it doesn't give me directly the column I need. And there we go, save and continue. We're going to rename that update today with current. Test and review. Perfect. So we can close that one. Now we want to look up the difference because we want to have that in our KPI bot too. So again, I'm choosing Google Sheets. I'm choosing lookup. And now, same thing as before. I'm going to choose the KPI board as the spreadsheet, and as the worksheet, I'm going to choose the KPI bot. The lookup column should be variable, and the value is difference, like this. Okay. All right, gonna rename that to lookup difference. Test and review. All right, so I see the difference is 0, which is pretty bad in a normal case. And now I can send my stats to Slack or any other team messenger you have, if it's Microsoft Teams or any other. You can choose whatever you like. In my case, it's Slack. So I'm going to choose Slack, and as an event, I want to send a channel message because I have a dedicated channel for KPI bots. This really makes sense because if you have multiple KPI bots, which probably every company has because you have multiple projects you work on and multiple teams, so it really makes sense to have a dedicated KPI bot where only KPI bot channel where only the KPI bots push messages in. All right, so here we go. I have my bot KPI channel, and the message text should be, what do I have? I have signups. I have registrations, and I have budget. That's spelled wrong. Budget spent. All right, so now I want to have the total number of signups I want to have in bold letters. So that's how I format it with this little star. And now I want to have the current signups, which are the total signups at this point so far. And I want to have the difference it had since yesterday. So that would be in difference, and that would be 0. All right. So again, the little star for the registrations. Gonna have that one and a star bracket plus registrations. All right, now the budget spent, same here. Little star, bracket plus lookup difference. Again, I have to show all options. All right, I want to send it as a bot. The bot name should be daily stats webinar. By the way, you could also add a goal in here, right? Like I have here my goal. You could also say, okay, let's put the goal also in the KPI bot in the message. I don't want to do this here, but this is also possible. Also, great way to keep on to keep track of how you're performing. All right, the bot icon. What do I want to have? I want to have the camera. I actually made a video yesterday already, but I forgot a step, so I had to make a new one. That's why we have it already in here. Where's the bot icon? There's the bot icon, and I have the cinema icon. I don't want to include a link to the Zap. This makes only sense for error bots, by example, where you really need a link to the actual Zap. But other than that, I find it quite annoying, so I always leave it out. I don't need the rest of that. Save and continue. Test and review. And there we go. We have our daily stats. And if I turn the Zap on now, every day on 6 p.m., this message will appear for my imaginary webinar. So we could end right here. But I want to have also a stats history in my Zap. That's also how I built this this table, this graph I showed you, or this chart I showed you in the beginning. So what I want to do is to add the stats history. No, I want to update the spreadsheet row in my KPI bot, which would be this one here. I already have some data from before in here, and now I want to fill this one. All right. Choose an account, save and continue, spreadsheet, KPI bot, and worksheet, this time the KPI history. And the row I want to choose is custom, because every day I want to choose another one, like the one that is actually today. So I'm gonna use a date, but as you can see, the only complete date I have without a time is the pretty date here. But the pretty date doesn't look like this one. So that's not going to work because it doesn't function as a unique identifier. So what I want to do is I'm gonna take a whole step back. And I think it makes sense to add a formatter step right at the beginning. So I'm gonna reformat the date. I'm using the formatter by Zapier, and I'm gonna choose date and time as the event. And the action I want to do is I want to format the date. And what I'm going to put in here, I have the first step. I'm going to put in the pretty date. And the format I want to have is this one, I think. Let's check. Yes. All right. So time zone doesn't really matter. Let's test and review. And there we go. I have it here. All right. So I have to check if I have that in here. Yes, there we have it. And it's going to put it in this row I'm a few days behind when I'm recording this. So please don't be too hard on me. All right, I'm going to rename the step to create history stats row. If that was so fast, we just created, we reformatted the date to make it a unique identifier for the row we're searching here. All right, you could also, if you're not using this graph and if you're not setting such a goal, then you can also just add another row and then you have a stats history as well, and you don't have to search for this, but I really like to have it this way, so I would recommend that one. All right, so we are in our history stats row step, and I chose the KPI board as the spreadsheet, the worksheet as the KPI history sheet as the worksheet, and the row I want to have a dynamic row because it's another one every day. So I reformatted the date and gonna take this one. And what I want to update is the signups. This is gonna be the current one. Goal signups is already filled. Registrations and the budget spent. There we go. Save and continue. Test and review. Oh, the spreadsheet row could not be sent to Google Sheets. Okay. What do we have here? Okay. So this doesn't work like this because we first have to add a search step. Forgot about that. All right, let's add a search step. So this is already put in here. I only have to choose the account. And again, the spreadsheet. I need the KPI history worksheet. I want to have the lookup column date. And here is where I enter my reformatted date. And what it should give me is the ID for the row. There we go. And this is what I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna rename that lookup history stats row. And this is what I'm gonna choose for my history stats row. All right, here we go. And do we have the ID? You can either always take the ID if it says so, or the row. That doesn't really matter. It's the same number always. All right, let's test that again. Let's see if it worked. And there we go. We have our data. And now we also have it in here. And we see I'm still widely underperforming under my goal. So I really need to do something. All right, let's say close. And here we have our, this is basically what it looks like. So this is the message it's gonna send. It's pretty simple and it's a pretty big zap for such a simple message. But I promise you it's really, really powerful for your team and for your whole organization. To wrap it up a bit, we created a KPI bot with a trigger every day at 6 p.m. We reformatted the date to use it later in the stats history row or tab. We had looked up the current signups, the total signups that are currently on. We looked up today, updated yesterday with today because the today from this step is actually yesterday for us, or the time the step triggers. We update today with current. We look up the difference, how many signups and registrations came up since in the last 24 hours. We sent a channel message in Slack. We looked up which row to update in the history KPI history tab and created a history stats row in this tab here. All right, now we can turn our Zap on, and now every day at 6 p.m. our Zap will trigger. And yes, I want to share my link to the Zap later. All right, that's it. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time.